Hi, I'm Daniel with etrailer, and today we're going to take a look at and I'm going to show you how to install the Pacbrake Alpha HD Pro airbags on our 2024 Toyota Tundra. If you're using your truck to haul a bunch of heavy stuff in your bed or you're towing a trailer, airbags are going to provide you more support and it's going to level out your load a lot easier. Now, it's going to be a lot better than your factory jounce bumpers. Those are a lot smaller and they'll bottom out and really won't give you any support at all. Now, why airbags over some of our other suspension enhancements like Timbrens? Airbags are way more adjustable for, like I said, varying loads, and they'll give you a lot more support. As you can see, that factory jounce bumper is way smaller than your airbag, so there's a ton of distance for the bed to still travel. So if you have that loaded down, this isn't going to give you much support. Now, before you get these bags installed, you want to make sure you got your factory ride height measurement. All you have to do is measure from the center of your wheel to the top of your wheel well here, and we'll show you how to do that in the install. But now I'll go ahead and lower some weight down on the hitch and we'll see how much that back end sinks. And now I'll get this measurement again here and see how much the bed sank. And it looks like it dropped about an inch. So what does that mean? It means that when you're driving with a trailer back there, your truck's going to be driving like at an angle, so your drivability is not going to be as good, your braking and stopping is not going to be as good, which is really important when you have a heavy trailer back there. Now, getting airbags is going to allow you to level this out, and it'll prolong your tires as well as your suspension components. Now you can get the truck near factory ride height by filling up the airbags, and you can use the manual fill in the back, or if you have a compressor installed, which is really nice so you don't have to bend down and fill this up and check it every time, you can just do it at the press of a button, which I do recommend getting. And there's a preset on this compressor, so I'll just hit that. Once you have everything leveled out, it's going to improve your drivability and it's going to just improve your overall towing experience. And getting these airbags is just going to be a really good investment. We got our load hooked up, our airbags installed and filled up, and we'll go ahead and take this on our test course here and see how the ride is. Now I can definitely tell it's a lot more stable driving with these airbags installed, and going at higher speeds, I am just in the parking lot here, is definitely going to help with your bounce and sway going at a little bit higher speeds. Here's what your bags are going to look like installed on your Tundra. And as you can see, they're a really durable rubber material, and actually they have an internal jounce bumper. So no matter how much you compress these, that bumper is going to keep these bags lasting a little bit longer. Now, these are capable of supporting loads up to 5,000 pounds, but do always check your manual and make sure you're towing with your proper payload capacity of your truck. Now, some maintenance for these is you want to keep these at 5 psi just to make these last as long as possible, and they can go up to 100 psi. The quality of these airbags is really high. I've installed a lot of different airbag kits, and the Pacbrake by far is one of the easiest to install. And all the bracketry here, it's got a nice powdered coat, and it's got kind of a hammered finish to it, which is really nice. Like I said, the install on these went really smoothly. You're actually using the threaded holes in the frame already, and you don't need a whole lot to get these installed. Now, if you don't have the time or tools to do this yourself, you can check out our dealer locator. We can find a professional in your area to get these installed for you. But if you're looking to do it yourself, follow along and I'll walk you through the process. Now, before we get started, we want to measure the factory ride height. All you have to do is grab a tape measure, butt it up to the top of your wheel well, and I'm just going to measure to the center of our wheel. So at the back here, we got about 23 inches. And the front looks like it measures right at 20 3/4. Now, I've already removed the spare tire just so we can have more room to work under here. And I got a 12mm socket. We want to remove those factory jounce bumpers. There's going to be 3 bolts securing it to the frame. I'm just going to get all these removed. There's going to be 2 going up into the frame, and then 1's going to be on the side over here. Now that we've taken the jounce bumpers off both sides, we'll also have to remove a bolt securing the e-brake line on both sides. It's still a 12mm socket, and I'll just get this removed. And this is just right in front of the rear axle. And I'll take this bolt out and get this moved aside. You want to keep that bolt because we will be reinstalling this later on. Now I got a pull jack here under the hitch. It's going to make some space for us to work where our airbag is going to go. It's just going to lift our bed up. Now if you're doing this on the ground, you can just use a floor jack and get the same result. Now we can put the top bracket in place. Now these are going to be different and size specific. There has a number printed on there, so just make sure you check your instructions, make sure you have the right one. Now I'm on the passenger side, and I got the black bolt that comes in our kit. I'm gonna get that through the side of our frame where we took that jounce bumper off. I'll just get this loosely threaded in. Now those threaded holes that are going up into the frame, we'll just secure down our plate into those with some of our hardware. These are going to be our smaller bolts. Now we can tighten everything down. I got a 13mm socket. I'm going to start with these silver bolts on the bottom. And there's a little bit of play to this. I'm just going to center it and get this tightened down with a 13mm socket. And then I'll tighten the one on the side as well. Now we can torque these down to the specs in the instructions. And if you don't have a torque wrench at home, you can usually rent one from your local auto parts store. Now we can set up our airbag here. I got the bottom bracket. I'm going to take our longer carriage bolts. I'm going to get these, ran through those square holes, flip it back over. Before I put this on, I get a roll plate. I'll just put this on the bottom. And the bottom, of course, is the one with the 2 threaded holes. The top's going to have the 3. So I'll get that lined up, and I'll place this on top. Now you want this part that juts out. This is going to be on the opposite side of where the threaded hole is on the top. So this is actually going to go the other way. And once you line everything up, you can take your button head cap screw and get that threaded in. Now we can tighten and torque these down. I got a 7/32 Allen head key bit. I'm just going to tighten these up. And we'll torque these down as well. I'm going to flip this over, and I'll get a roll plate on the top of this. You want that large hole to align with that large hole in your airbag. Now I'll take our air fitting and get this threaded in. Just want to get it hand tight, and then I'll take a 14mm wrench and tighten this additional 1.5 turns. That's 1, and that's a half. Now it does say 1.5 to 2, but I usually go on the lighter side, and if it's leaking, we can always tighten it more. Now we can grab that top bracket and place it on top of our bag. Now, of course, you want the air fitting to be in this U-shape cutout, and this cutout here is going to be on the right side if you're looking at it with the large bracket on the bottom facing you. But before we secure this plate down, we want to grab our smaller carriage bolts, and we'll just lift this up and get these put through those square holes. I'll put that back down. And now we can secure our button head bolts. Now we can tighten and torque these down at this time. Now when we get the bag up there and you notice it's really off to one side, you can take it down and loosen and retighten in a different position because there is a lot of play to this. But I'm just going to try and make it centered and about center in that oblong hole. And then I'll tighten it down. Now we did just build the passenger side, but if you're doing the driver's side, this cutout will be on the other side. It'll be a mirror image. Now before we put the bag in place, we're gonna have to remove this bolt that's securing our brake line. So I got a 12mm socket. I'm gonna get this removed. And we're just gonna reinstall it, but I'm just gonna get this clip. I'm gonna turn it around the other way. So it's actually pulling it in towards the axle. So I'll just flip this around and get this reinstalled. Now we can put the bag in place. And you just want this part that's jutting out on the bottom, that's going to be facing in. And I'm going to go on the other side here. Make sure you're not pinching any wires and compress the bag. Bring it over. Line up our carriage bolts into the upper bracket here. And I'm just going to get those through. And I'll put our nylock flange nut on both of these. Now before we get these tightened all the way down, I'm actually going to lower the bed to make sure our bag's nice and straight. Now once you determine the bag is nice and straight, you can tighten the top down with that 14mm socket. And I'll go ahead and torque these as well. Now you take your axle strap, there's going to be a square side and a rounded side. Of course, just line that up with the square side of your axle. It's going to be the inside. Get our carriage bolts threaded through, and then I'll put our nylock nuts on there. You want to tighten these down evenly. And make sure it's straight as well. And I'll go and torque these as well. Now we need to reattach our e-brake line, and there's actually going to be a mounting location on the bottom bracket of our airbag assembly. So I'll just align those holes, and using that bolt we took out, I'll put that back through. And then the kit comes with a washer and nylock nut that I'll secure this down with. Now using a 13mm socket and wrench, I'll get this snugged up. And everything we did on the passenger side, we'll just repeat that on the driver's side. Now we can get our airlines ran over to our bags. Now I just got this bracket here. This doesn't come in the kit, but it is nice to have in case you don't want to drill into your bumper somewhere in the plastic. So I'll just get one of the airlines, put it through. It's got a nut and washer on the back. I'll just put a washer and nut on the front here. And I'll just take a 12mm socket and get this tightened down. Usually hand tight is all you need on this. Just snug that up. Now I'll route the other end to our bags and show you the path I take. Now this kit is designed with 2 air fills. One's gonna go to each bag, and so you can fill them independently. Now our neighbor today got a union T, so we can actually just fill both at the same time with 1 air fitting. And the way we routed it is I just went over to the passenger side, and that's where our union T is. So this side is going to our passenger side bag, and then out of this end is going to our driver's side bag. I just zip tied our line to the existing wire harness, and I just plugged it into the bag. All you have to do is push it in and just give it a pull to make sure it is secure. Now you might be wondering why you would want 2 air fills. If you have an embed camper or something with varying weights, you might want to fill your bags to different PSIs and be able to support it properly. Whenever you're making any cuts, you want to use a specific airline tubing cutter, and your kit actually comes with one, which is really nice, but I just got a piece of tubing. I'll just show you. You just want to make sure it's a nice, even cut. You don't want any burrs or anything, and you want it nice and straight, not at an angle. Now, if you don't have anywhere to zip tie your line, and you have a wire harness, so you don't have to do this, but there's also bolts already in the hat channel, so I just got a loom clamp and put it around our airline and attached it that way. Now I'll grab some air and fill these bags up so we can go ahead and test them. Now I can use a soapy water solution and test all of our fittings. I do like to always check our air fill just to make sure that's not leaking. And now we can check our union tee. And we're just looking for bubbles that are constantly forming. And if you do see any, just let the air out, disconnect, recut if you need to, and try again. Just plug it back in. And we look good there, so I'll try our bags. And we look good here, so I'll move on to the driver's side. Once you've made sure there's no leaks, you're pretty much good to go. Now, if you're installing a compressor, now's a good time to do that, like we are going to in a little bit. But if you're not, then you can just put your spare tire back up and hit the road. And that was a look at the Pacbrake airbags on our 2024 Toyota Tundra.